Welcome to another exciting episode of Hear Me Out Live Uncut. This week, our topic is Adopted for Life. I am Sasha Gooden, and I'm here with my favorite girl, Antoinette Newell.
Thanks, Sashel. Adoption may be defined as the legal act of taking another's child and bringing it up as your own. Many persons are not familiar with the process of adoption, and today we're here to assist you with the valuable information.
Yeah, that's true, Antoinette. But the truth is, unless you've been adopted yourself, know someone who has been adopted, or you work in the field, little to no one knows about adoption, and very few try to find out.
You're so right, Sashel, and as harsh as that may sound, this is the reality. And this may stem from the secrecy surrounding adoption in Jamaica.
Well, today we're going to break the silence. We'll be talking to Tanya Moat-Goff, who will be sharing her own personal experience having been adopted herself.
But before we catch up with Tanya, Sashel, let's just take a quick break. Viewers, you'll be right back after these messages.
This segment is brought to you courtesy of Sky Dweller Ultra Lounge.
Welcome back to Hear Me Out Live Uncut. Sitting with us today is Mrs. Tanya Moat-Goff. She's an adoptee and she's here with us today to share her experiences with us. Hi Tanya,
Hi.
Welcome to Hear Me Out.
Thank you. Glad to be here. Glad to be here.
We're elated to have you here today, and hopefully by the end of the show, we'll be able to make an impact on our viewers.
Hope so.
Okay, so Tanya, before we get into the meat of the matter, we're going to play a little trivia.
Okay.
This is my favorite part. Okay, so we call our trivia one or the other. So basically what happened is Antoinette and I answered some questions based on what we think your preferences are before the show.
You know that's not fair for you, right?
Exactly. Thank you.
It's some off-topic question. It's not things that we talk about in friendship, all right? It's some off-topic question. So when I win, I want my winnings fair and square, right?
So
Okay.
viewers, you heard it from Tanya.
Then suppose me lose. Anyway.
That would be telling.
Anyway. So we have the answers here. So we're going to ask you the same set of questions, and then we're going to reveal our answers. And at the end, we determine who knew you better. All right. So rice and red peas, or rice and gungo peas?
If it's Christmas, rice and gungo peas. Ordinary rice and red peas.
So what is the answer?
Which is the answer?
Rice and red peas.
Oh dear Jesus, that it's not working out.
Well, actually, my husband would have said rice and gungo peas, and he would have get it wrong too.
So nobody knows which Tanya?
If husband getting it wrong, me not feel bad. All right, fine. Okay, bun or bulla?
Bun.
Wait, so we might wonder. Bun?
You just don't want to reveal, say she not get it right.
Serious?
It's bun. Okay, thank you. Heels or flats?
Flats. You have rice and gungo peas.
Oh, okay, hold on.
That's wrong.
Flats.
I got one right.
Is only one I get right?
Unfortunately.
Okay. Christmas or Easter?
Easter.
God of mercy.
Because Easter is the best time as a Christian. Christmas is full of commercialization. Easter, you get to reflect on what Jesus Christ has really done for you.
As long as Antoinette get it wrong, what you have?
Easter is my favorite time of year.
I don't feel bad.
Okay.
I'm still leading.
You're on Tanya, but okay.
All right, last question. Day person or night person?
A person.
God of mercy.
Nobody knows Tanya.
That's the consensus.
No, my husband would have told you I'm a day person. He's the night person.
Tanya, most of our conversations happen past midnight. How are you a day
That's
person?
because you are up at midnight and I make the sacrifice to make sure that I can talk to you.
Well, we see how I got it wrong. So the winner is?
I got one. How much I got?
Listen,
One.
I didn't get one. I got bun and you didn't get bun. You said bulla. So I got two.
All right, 2 to
Oh,
1.
2 to
so
1.
There's still a winner.
Sashel won by default.
How is that the fault?
We're going to take a break while Sashel will try and mourn her loss. Because 2 for a friend, that's not good.
No, Tanya sacrificed them, threw me off. Tanya, talk
Let
to
us
me
go to the
in
break,
night.
Sashel. We'll be right back, viewers.
This segment is brought to you courtesy of Sky Dweller Ultra Lounge.
Welcome back to Hear Me Out live Uncut. We're sitting here with Tanya Goff. We started out some stuff in the break and we realized that I got all right. Tanya just didn't remember stuff about herself. And so we have all of that sorted out. So we're talking to her today about being adopted. We know that it's one of the taboo topics in Jamaica. It's a little bit uncomfortable. Persons talking about it. A lot of persons aren't even open to the option of exploring adoption. And so today we want to break down all of the myths, debunk all of the myths around it.
Yes.
And thank you so much for agreeing.
You are most welcome.
So at what age, Tanya, did you find out that you were adopted?
All right, so my adoption is really weird because my parents were part of a big church community. So, you know, Jamaican people like to chat.
Yes.
So people in the church were talking and they were saying things like, your mother just showed up with you one day. Wow. But you, as a child, it never hit you. You know, you're just like, what that mean? Okay, my mother showed up with me one day. But then as about 14, 15, when mommy let us know that we were adopted. And we never get to find out in a really nice way because she did vex with something Rohan did do, my brother. Oh dear. So she just blurted out in frustration. Wow. So it was kind of a, what do you mean I'm adopted? Yeah. You know, that kind of, so you mean you never really want me kind of thing. But as a teenager, that was kind of, it was hard to hear. Right. Because I grew up in an environment of everybody is mommy, daddy, auntie, uncle. There was never anything in the environment that said you were not born into this family. So it was kind of weird when I first found out about it. And I was kind of angry. At first, I was like, so you mean I'm adopted and that's all you behave? Like, really? But, you know, what was funny about it is that mommy said it in anger, but daddy's response was calming and very profound. He said, you are all my children. And he just left it at that. And we've never talked about it since that day because he just made that blanket statement, you are all my children. And that was it for us. We were like, okay. You know, so we was like, okay. And it never mattered after that. Really? At least not to me. Yeah. You know, it never really mattered.
So after that day, there was not like a period of sadness? Was there anything that they had to adjust to help you to cope?
No, because daddy just said, you are all my children. And as far as he was concerned, argument done. Yeah. You're my child. I'm not having a discussion about how you were adopted, why you were adopted, how I came to know you. Yeah. Later on in life, though, my mother told me the story of how I was adopted, which was, for me, wow.
Yeah, we want to hear. I want to hear this. So you don't want to hear. I want to hear the story.
So she had adopted my brother and sister before, and she had been finished. She said she didn't want any more children. But she came to a place, she said, I was at Walker's Place of Safety, which was on Maxfield Avenue. And she said she noticed me because when she walked in, all the other children were playing, but I was sitting with the grown folks. And, you know, I was just comfortable sitting with the grown folks. She said she don't know when I went into the car. But all she knows is that they came back to the car and I was sitting in the front seat of the car in the middle.
Are you for real?
I'm dead serious. No. She said she said she don't know. Nobody knew when I walked to the car, but I just walked to their car and I went in. She said it was an Oldsmobile they were driving. And she said you didn't go to the back seat, you went to the front seat and you just sat down in the middle of the car. We could not get you out. She said everybody tried to get you out, you would not come out. And she said your father just turned and said, let's take her.
Might as well. You already made your place there.
I don't think they had a choice. I don't think they had a choice.
Because I would move. She said you're about 3 and you would not move. You just made up your mind you were coming home with us?
So you were stubborn from that time?
From that time till now. You
All right.
understand?
Yeah, I know. It makes sense.
It makes sense.
It makes you ask Tanya, cause right, you know. I don't even know.
So, yeah.
So Tanya, how long after finding out that you were adopted did you feel comfortable sharing it with your peers?
Couple of years.
In your
Couple of years.
20s?
In my 20s. Teenage is a hard time to share that kind of story.
Yeah.
Because even as a teenager, even though I felt loved, it was still weird to talk to persons about. Because then you're going to get, so do you know who your parents are? And, you know, all of those questions that you can't answer. And all of those heritage that other persons have that you can't answer.
Right.
So as a teenager, it was difficult to talk about it, and we never really did. It wasn't until I was about 20, 25, thereabout, actually 25 and over, that I began to like, but that's cool to be adopted. I mean, you know, it's cool that somebody actually took the time to choose me.
Actually, you chose them.
I chose them. Yeah, that's true. I chose them. But they chose me back.
Return.
You know? They could have forced and said, no, get out of the car, but they chose me back.
That's a nice way to look at it. I never thought about it that way.
Yeah.
But Tanya, you mentioned earlier that when you found out from your mother, it was in a strange way, and in your mind you were saying, but this is the family I knew, aunts, uncles, grandparents, all of that. But how was family life? How were you integrated into that whole aspect with cousins, aunts, uncles? You maintain a good relationship with everybody?
Excellent relationship. Everybody is auntie, uncle, cousin. Nobody knows different, and we're not treated as though we're not Moat.
Yeah.
You know, we're not treated as though we did not come from my father's loin or my mother's belly. You know, so.
I can't help but ask the question, and I think everybody wants to find out, do you ever have the urge to try to find your birth parents?
I did at once, but it was only for medical purposes. The only reason I was interested was because I wanted to know if I had any medical history that I needed to know about. I have a philosophy in life, you see. You never go open a can of worms if you don't need to open a can of worms. And for me, I had a mother and a father. I really wasn't too interested in finding out that I have 20 other sisters or 40 other brothers down the road. You know, I was comfortable. I have a mother, father, brother, sister, auntie, uncle, cousin. That's my family.
Full family.
Full family. I really never needed any more complications in life. And for me, I felt it would hurt my father. I wasn't even so much concerned about mommy as I was daddy.
Yeah.
You know, that I think for me it would be, I'm going to hurt this person to have this desire to know somebody else when they have given me everything in life.
Sounds like you had a great experience. So Tanya, would you consider adopting?
Oh yeah.
And would you encourage other persons to adopt?
I've always told people that children are out there who need a loving home. And I know a lot of persons are afraid of, but they're not come from me. I don't know them personality, this, but me, nurture has what has formed me, not nature. I am my mother's child. Anybody you ask, they will tell you, Tanya act just like her mother. She is her mother's child, my mother's personality, everything about me is my mother's persona. I have a little bit of my father, but much of my mother. And that has taught me that children are mostly nurtured and not nature.
Right.
It's what you pour into them that you get out of them. And I know people who have natural children who they wish to God they had adopted.
Yeah.
Because
Oh God.
they treat them worse than the children that they have fostered.
Right.
You know, and they're just like, wow. You know, and I think for us as adopted children, we have a greater sense of appreciation of life and of choices and of blessings.
Okay, that's great, Daniel. All right, so we're going to take a break, and during the break, I want you to think of a motivational meme that you can share with the audience.
Okay.
When we return from the break, we're going to share motivational memes with you, and hopefully you can learn something from it.
segment is brought to you courtesy of Sky Dweller Ultra Lounge.
Welcome back to Hear Me Out Life Uncut. We're at the part of our show called Motivational Meme. Basically what we do is share quotes or thoughts based on what we're discussing today, which is adopted for life, that we can use to encourage persons in similar circumstances. So I'm going to start with our guest Tanya and ask her to share them through to Antoinette, and then I close it out.
All right, so for me, I have two things. One, to the adopted child, you were chosen, and that is a blessing. To the adoptive parents, you took the time to invest in somebody else by choice, and that is also a blessing.
That's great. Family is not built on genes, it is built on love.
Oh Jesus, no, they sound like poets. For me, I had to read up about it because it wasn't something that I was really au fait with, but I found one that I loved that said, adopting a child might not change the world, but for that child, the world will change.
Amen.
Yes. All right. Thank you so much, Tanya.
You are most welcome. It was my pleasure.
Yes, this is what it takes for me to see Tanya. I haven't seen her in a very long time, but she turned up when I needed it most.
That's what friends do.
Yes, that's what friends do. So we are glad for you, our viewers, as usual, for tuning in to this episode of Hear Me Out Life Uncut. So as usual, join us for other episodes where we continue to talk to Jamaicans, explore Jamaica, and learn a little bit more about our country and our people. Please remember to do you respectfully with no apology.
Next on Hear Me Out Life Uncut.
We will be discussing the issue of infertility.
As you age, fertility rate decreases. Females might have blockage of the fallopian tube.
For me, I feel like we've been an insensitive country.
This myth about your biological clock ticking, it is real.
When the world says give up, hope says try one more time.
Partner with us to promote your business here. Contact us at hearmeoutlifeuncut@gmail.com or DM us on Instagram at hearmeoutlifeuncut.